There's no real good answer or good explanation or excuse or anything like that. So not sure why it wasn't there. Yeah.
Next question to Mark Spector. Mark, as soon as your microphone's unmuted, you can ask your question.
Connor, you scored a bunch of goals. I mean, you scored 4 a night. So that's generally enough to win hockey games, certainly in the playoffs. 4 a night's plenty. Clearly, too many goals going in. Have you had a chance to think back and, how do you change it, I guess? How does the team change, get a little more stern on their goals against? Because it appears that's what would have to happen for this team to kind of take the next step.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's an issue that we've been trying to fix for a bit now, and we seem to get it down in the regular season, and for whatever reason, just wasn't there in the playoffs. You guys keep saying you look back now. Quite honestly, I haven't really looked back. It's been less than a week. Just trying to, refresh, and there's lots of time to look back at it, and so I haven't done too much thinking about it, to be honest. But obviously that's an issue, and we're aware of it, and have to be better moving forward. But again, I thought we took steps in the regular season to fix that.
Next question for Daniel Nugent-Bowman. Go ahead, Dan.
Hi, Connor. At the end of last season, you expressed some frustration with how things went, and missing the playoffs for the second year in a row. I know that it's disappointing losing out the first round. How do you feel about the state of the team right now, though?
Yeah, I mean, definitely take where we're at, and then this off season as opposed to last off season. So we've definitely made strides. We've definitely brought in pieces, and have a little more stability, I think. Last season we didn't even have a GM. There was lots of questions what was going to happen in the coaching spot, and now that those holes have been filled, and with great people, and there's definitely a lot more stability, and in terms of the players, I think we took a step in the right direction, with knowing what we have to do to be successful. We did most of the regular season, and obviously when it came time when it mattered most, we dropped the ball, but I think we still made some steps, and we'll learn and grow from it.
And next question to Reed Wilkins. Reed. Go ahead, Reed.
Thanks, Andre. Hi, Connor. Connor, now that you had a full season under Dave Tippett, as unusual a season as it was, how would you sum up his impact? And I think I'm asking here both sort of tactically as a coach, but also the relationships part of it, because it seems everybody I talk to about Tippett mentions that building relationships with people is one of his strengths. So I'm hoping you could touch on the personal side and the hockey side with him. Thanks.
One second, we're having an audio issue. I'll get... Okay, everybody, just stand pat 1 second. Looks like we've lost the connection with Connor, so I'll work on that. Reed, if you could raise your hand again, and we'll get that question asked again. Again, apologies for the technical difficulty. Looks like we lost, Connor lost reception. So we're just trying to reconnect with him, and we should be back up and running shortly. Thank you. No problem. We'll take the next question. We've got Jason Gregor. Jason, go ahead as soon as your microphone's unmuted. Go ahead.
Do we want Reed to get Connor to ask his question about Dave Tippett? Only because I thought that was actually a pretty good question by Reed.
Okay, good call. I'll go back to Reed Wilkins when we got interrupted. Reed, as soon as your microphone's unmuted, you can ask again.
Okay, Connor, I don't know if you heard it before, but I'll throw it to you again. In terms of Dave Tippett's impact, I was hoping you could touch on, first of all, sort of the tactical hockey side of things and some of the impact he had there. And also, one of the things I hear a lot of people compliment Dave Tippett for is how he builds relationships with people. So I'm hoping with Tip, you can touch on sort of the personal side and also the hockey impact side. Thank you.
Yep. Tip obviously, has had lots of success coaching. Everyone kind of thinks that, he's kind of got that stereotype, I guess, of being, a defensive-minded coach, and he is, but he still promotes offense as well. So I really like where his systems are at. On a personal level, I think he does a great job of building relationships with his players. Can only really speak for myself, and me and him get along great and see eye to eye. So definitely have liked working with Tip.
And we'll go back to Jason Gregor. Jason, as soon as your microphone's active, and go ahead.
Connor, there's so much uncertainty really about even when next season is going to start. As the captain of the team, does that make the offseason different? I don't know how often you would communicate with your teammates in a regular offseason. Do you expect this one to be different at all for you?
Well, I mean, it's going to be different. Just going to be home in the fall and the start of winter. So, I mean, that's going to be new. But in terms of talking to the guys, I'm sure there's going to be lots of back and forth on what everyone thinks should happen. Similar to the situation. About coming back before the break. So I'm sure there's going to be lots of different questions about what's going on, and fans in the building, are they not? Are we in a bubble? Are we traveling? What's the deal? So I'm sure there's going to be lots of back and forth, and I'm sure.
Next question to Daniel Nugent-Bowman. Go ahead, Daniel.
Ken Holland said the other day that although it's difficult to get from where you guys were to last season, he thinks it's probably even tougher to get to where you are now, to the true elite of the league. Do you get a sense either what's missing or what it's going to take to have the Oilers become a true contender every year? Do you kind of get that sense, or what would that be?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had an answer for you again, but obviously we're missing something. So not sure what that is, and I'm sure everyone's going to go back and regroup and try to figure out that exact question. Because that's where we want to be. That's where we think we can get to, and
Next question for Mark Spector. Mark, go ahead as soon as your microphone's unmuted.
When do you sort of look back, and when do you diagnose the playoffs? Like in our world, the fans they've been picking this thing apart for a week, right? And you just said that you haven't really looked back yet. What happens in Connor McDavid's world? When do you actually dig into this thing and dig it apart and figure out what happened?
Yeah, I think like anyone, you just need to take time. I mean, it's easy for fans and media to sit back and want to diagnose and want to get right down to it. But as a player, it's a little different. You need a break. You need to relax and try to look at it with more of a clear head. I think when it's so sudden, it's very easy to be frustrated and very easy to you're just not thinking clearly. So I think you need to clear your head first, and then you look back at it and take the positives, take the negatives, and figure out what exactly went wrong.
We've got a question from Tom Gazzola. Tom, go as soon as you go ahead.
Hey, Connor, you're right about fans and media diagnosing the season and what went wrong and all of that. But there's been a lot of talk about the team's defensive game and how things kind of went sideways. Just what's your take on the team's overall defensive game and where do you feel you're at defensively going into next season?
Obviously, it's not where it needs to be. Teams that win are the teams that defend, and we haven't seemed to figure that out yet. So, like I said, I thought we did. I don't know how else to say it. I thought we took some big steps. Playing defensively during the season. Again, just wasn't there in the regular season. Personally, obviously could be better. Whatever. Yeah, could be better.
Thanks, Connor. That's it for questions at this time, and we do have Darnell Nurse available. So thanks, Connor. Thanks for getting on the call and also for getting back on when we had our technical problems. So at this point, we're going to give me 1 second here and we'll admit Darnell Nurse. And again, to ask your questions, raise your hand. And Darnell's also only available by audio today, but we'll get started shortly here with Darnell. 1 second. I believe Jason Gregor had a question and now I can't see there we go. Go ahead, Jason, as soon as your microphone's active.
Darnell, obviously we know it's disappointing the way the season ended, so I want to focus more so on next year. Over the last 2 seasons, I don't know if you know, but you're 9th amongst D-men in 5-on-5 points. So obviously you've produced more. But the team as a whole, your 5-on-5 goals against has basically been the exact same. How does your team collectively as a group lower your goals against 5-on-5? What do you think's missing there?
For us, it's been a focus. It's got to continue to be a focus. I mean, it's not something that's just going to happen overnight. So I think that we've been more consciously worrying about our D zone, more consciously worrying about keeping pucks out of our own net. But that needs to continue to be a focus. Like I said, I think that it's something that we're definitely trying to work on. Something that we definitely need to be better at. And as long as we put in good reps and have it as a focus in our game, and know that the offense will take care of itself. That's what's ultimately going to be the difference between us sitting here now and us still playing.
Next question to Mark Spector. Mark, as soon as your microphone's active, you can go ahead.
Yeah, Darnell, tell us how your week's been, sort of where your head's been at. Have you had a chance to dig in on the series with Chicago, and did you reveal anything to yourself about why, as a group, you guys just weren't the same team you were during the season? Have you figured anything out?
To be honest, I mean, like, you sit down the first couple of days, probably sit down and think about it, try to solve the issues of the world. But yeah, look, it didn't go how any of us wanted it to go. It didn't. We all want to be still playing hockey right now. We can sit here week after week, digging ourselves into a hole and beating ourselves up over it, or we can learn from what we went through, and that's everyone's pissed off about it. I think that's the best way to describe it. But I mean, like I said, you beat yourself over the head with it for weeks. And is that gonna bring you back in a better mind state, and a better mind frame, or is it gonna affect you in your goals for next season? So yeah, there's a taste in everyone's mouth that's very that no one likes, and you need to find a way to not have that taste. And we've had it 4 out of 5 years here, so we know we need to be better.
Next question, again, Jason Gregor. Jason, as soon as your microphone's active, you can go ahead.
Darnell, just kind of further expand on the defensive zone coverage. I know that you and a lot of other guys have a skills coach, and you work on going back and getting pucks or offensive stuff. Can you work like as an individual on team defense in the summer? Is that possible? Is it film work with the coach, or is that something that really has to happen in training camp collectively together?
Yeah, it's in the summertime you can work more on one-on-one more than anything. I think it's tough because you get into the summer, you're training with a bunch of different guys. They all play different systems, so it's tough to go out there and if you're covering a guy that usually another guy that you're training with is used to covering, like it's pretty pointless. So a lot of that just goes into film. It goes into watching all our games over the course of the season, and then coming into camp and working on it. Like that's where you make the most strides, is when you're able to work on it as a team, and get those reps in when training camp comes around. But yeah, I think that the biggest thing when it comes to summer, I mean, it's watching film. That's probably the best way to work on your team defense. And other than that, it's more of a one-on-one component.
Next question to Daniel Nugent-Bowman. Go ahead, Daniel.
Darnell, obviously last year you guys being where you were in the standings, and you jumped from there to fifth in the Western Conference. But Ken Holland was saying the other day that it's one thing to make that leap, but it's an entire other thing to go from that where you are now to the true elite of the league. Do you get a sense of how close you are or how far away you are from that point? What do you think about that, and what's kind of maybe missing in terms of getting the Oilers to being a true contender every year?
Yeah, I think obviously to make the improvement that we made during the regular season. I mean, if anyone, we were sitting there at the beginning of the year just listening to person after person after person talk about how we were going to be one of the worst teams in the Western Conference, and then to have the ability to play the way we did over the course of the regular season, put ourselves in a position where we had the fifth most points in the conference. I think if any of us said that we would have the opportunity to get into the playoffs after how everyone was talking about us at the beginning of the season, we would have been excited to know that we would have the opportunity. But I think that once you get there and have the taste of playing in those meaningful games at the end of the season, getting there isn't enough. I think that's the taste everyone has in their mouth now. Yeah, it was great to get to the point where we were in this bubble and playing for our lives every night, but we weren't at the level that we needed to be to extend it.
Another question for Jason Gregor. Jason, go ahead as soon as your microphone's unmuted.
Darnell, you and Ethan Bear, I was looking at the numbers, played like almost 90% of your time together, and continuity is huge for everybody. Just maybe talk about the growth you felt as a duo and where you feel you two specifically can go next season, expecting that you'll play together again.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of growth from obviously Bears. He kind of got thrust into a position there early on in the year where he just took off and had a great year. And I think as a deep pair, it was always nice to look over and know the guy that you're playing with and know where he's going to be on the ice. You kind of got to that point by the end of the year. So yeah, I think it was definitely a year where we had a lot of growth as a pair, and it's exciting to have that we'll have the opportunity to hopefully do it again next year.
Thank you. At this time, we do have another question from Donna Spencer, the Canadian Press. Donna, go ahead.
Darnell, I'm just curious how you feel about the 2014 playoff this year. Is it something that you think the league should consider going ahead, or should it just be a one-off?
Well, I think it was a great situation for the time. I think obviously with how crazy this year has been for everyone, not just hockey players or sports players. I think it was a great idea for the time, but for the time being, and making the most of a situation that wasn't ideal for anyone. But yeah, it'd be nice to go back to the 16-team format and just play like normal and get back to that format. But I did like the fact that we played 1 through 8. I think that was a good touch too.
This time, there's no other questions, so I'd like to thank Darnell Nurse for his time. Reminder to everyone, we'll be back with Kailer Yamamoto at 11:30. Thanks, Darnell.
Thanks.
is tied. Just as the power play was set to expire, Draisaitl pours it into the back of the net for his 34th goal of the
Members of the media, thanks for your patience. Sorry about the technical issues earlier with Connor, and we had some issues getting connected here, but we're happy to have Kailer Yamamoto. A reminder, if you'd like to ask questions, use the raise hand function. That will put you in a queue, and then I'll identify who's next up for questions and unmute their microphone, and then they can ask their questions. So go ahead and use raise hand as soon as you have a question. We have first question from Reed Wilkins. Reed, go ahead as soon as your microphone's active.
Hi, Kailer. Thanks for doing this. This season for you turned out to be quite a journey with Bakersfield, the NHL, the long break, and then I know obviously the playoffs didn't go as long as you want. How do you compare yourself to the Kailer Yamamoto of a year ago? Does it feel a lot different? Does it feel like there's a lot under your belt now, or how would you characterize it?
I'd say my game wise, it's definitely changed. A bit. Just feeling more confident. With the puck. I feel like I fit in with the group a lot better. But I feel like personality, hasn't really changed. Still really energetic. Kind of just like to have a good time. So.
Next question to Daniel Nugent-Bowman. Go ahead, Daniel.
Hi, Kailer. What did you learn from your playoff series, and how do you think that will help or benefit you going into next year?
I learned a lot. One thing I learned this year was playoffs are hard to win. Doesn't matter who you're playing against, what team you're playing against. It's a very hard battle, and you got to put your best foot forward to win those games.
Next question to Mark Spector. Mark, as soon as your microphone's active, you can go ahead.
You were kind of sort of a metaphor for the whole team. Like, you worked hard, you weren't, no one's saying you were lazy or you didn't try, but it didn't happen for you, right? You didn't get the success in this playoff series that you found in the regular season. Have you had time to figure it out and look back and, is there anything you could do differently? What specifically might you have learned in the past week from what went down against Chicago?
I think for me it was I was getting too fixated on stuff. I wasn't playing my game. The first game I knew I was way too amped up. First playoffs, I just wanted kind of go out there and just kind of run around. I'm not the biggest guy, but had to talk with the coach, and I thought I played better as the series went on, but just wasn't getting bounces. I need to capitalize on my stuff around in front of the net too, so definitely need to work on that.
Next question to Adam Cook. Adam, go ahead as soon as your microphone's active.
Hi, Kailer. Thanks for doing this. A few days ago, Ken Holland said he was going to circle back and talk to the leadership group, the players, and let things kind of cool off. And Connor was just speaking to us and said he hasn't really looked back at the series yet. He needs to kind of digest things. But what is your sense of the level of frustration of the leadership group and the team as a whole?
It's definitely frustrating. I haven't really thought about it too much. It's definitely frustrating, not to make it in. So we're gonna have to look at some stuff, but I'm sure the guys are gonna have a really good, off season, and we're gonna come back ready to play in December, hopefully.
A reminder to use the raised hand function if you have questions. We have another question from Reed Wilkins. Reed, go ahead as soon as your microphone's active. Go ahead.
Kailer, obviously, after New Year's Eve, you played with Leon and Nugent Hopkins quite a bit, and you guys put up a ton of points. Was there, some adjustment in the postseason that you guys weren't together very much, maybe until the late in Game 4 when you guys were pushing? Like, did that have surprised you at all that was the alignment going into the playoffs?
It didn't surprise me too much. I know if you look back before all this started, when we were playing Winnipeg, at least, Winnipeg, I know for sure. Nuge wasn't on our line, so I wasn't sure coming back. I was like 50-50, he might be on our line, but when he wasn't on our line, I didn't see it. I wasn't too surprised.
A reminder to use a raise hand if you have any questions for Kailer Yamamoto, so use the raise hand function. I know we had some technical issues, so I'm just making sure we get everybody's question in. And at this time, it looks like there's no more questions. So thanks very much, Kailer, for doing this. Thanks to members of the media. And that's it for today's media availability. Take care and have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.